Bombas, the land of 10,000 rakes. Rami Makloff, Judd Zulgad, Derek Wetmore, Manny Hill is on the other side of the glass, and joining us now on the show, the guy who you just heard get that big hit. It is former Twin Trevor Plouffe. Trevor, welcome into the First Place Twins Show. How you doing this afternoon?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me. Must be nice to say First Place Twins Show, huh?
Trevor, we've been saying it basically all year.
All season, and we started counting the magic number in and out of every commercial break at 100.
It's amazing what they've been able to do, no doubt.
How do you experience a game like last night? Because I know, just as a baseball fan, I don't care if you root for the Twins or not, you're jumping off your couch and pumping your fist just at some exciting, well-played baseball last night. As a guy who's been in games like that, is it more intense sitting on your couch watching it? Is it less intense because you've been there? How do you experience it?
It's definitely much less intense sitting on your couch watching these games. I mean, I try to flip through. I'm trying to cover a lot of baseball right now, seeing a lot of different games, but I definitely am partial to watching the Twins play. You know, I have a lot of good relationships with those guys, especially the younger guys that were there when I was there. So, yeah, like watching last night, watching Rosario take that ball off the wall and just absolutely throw a strike to home plate to end the game. I mean, that's something that, even though it lost the game for Red Sox fans, even those fans, I'm sure, were like, wow, that was a great play.
Exactly. So my theory on that play is the throw to home plate, which was a P there on one hop, is a great play. But Trevor, I actually think that the most impressive part of that play is playing the ball off the wall so well, because my guess is playing the ball off the monster in Fenway, if you do it well, looks simple, but if you're a player, probably is not nearly as simple as Rosario made that look. Is that a correct assessment?
I mean, he got a pretty clean bounce. I think that's one thing that the wall does. There's just a lot of different, pieces that come out of it, different ways the ball will ricochet off the wall. So he was fortunate. He put himself in a good position. He got a pretty clean bounce. That ball could have taken a number of different angles off the wall, but he did a great job with it. I mean, they practiced it definitely pre-game. You know, he's been there enough now where he understands kind of how to play that left field. But, just an outstanding job for sure.
Trevor, it's Wetmore here. As a guy, I saw you take quite a bit of BP throughout your Twins career and know you've got some pop. What is it like now in your chair to watch, we'll call it the juicy baseball era, where, I mean, balls are flying out of the park left and right, and now you look up and down lineups and everybody's got 20 home runs?
Well, I've actually trademarked it's the turbo ball era.
Turbo ball, I like that. All right, we'll get some heat behind that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I love home runs. I love watching these guys hit home runs. I'm definitely one of the guys that will say yes, the ball is juiced. I mean, when I look at smaller guys or guys that weren't typically home run hitters going the opposite field, I think that's where I see it the most. Even like dead central, like that used to be reserved for guys with big power. And I understand swing mechanics have changed and guys are throwing harder, so I think that has a little bit to do with it. But I enjoy it. Eventually, I think that we'll get sick of home runs because when you have too much of a good thing, like, it ends up, being bad. So I think that's we'll get some sort of like home run, like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but we'll get tired of it. I think so. Right now, I'm enjoying it, but there's just so many times being hit every night.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll get turbo ball fatigue here at some point.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Fatigue, for sure, man.
I like turbo ball already. They should get that on a T-shirt.
Sounds like a sport.
Yeah,
a sport unto itself.
Trev will give you royalties when that thing goes huge, okay?
You better.
Talking with former Twin Trevor Plouffe here on the SKOR North First Place Twins Show. Trevor, how well built, how equipped do you think this Twins team is for the postseason? Because I think most people now are where I've been for a few months and assuming this team is going to be playing baseball in October. But how deep can they get, do you think?
I mean, it's almost a foregone conclusion they're going to be playing baseball in October, right? I mean, I think it depends on if they can keep the offense up. That's what I see most of the time in the playoffs is if you can continue to hit, you're going to do well. But a lot of the times that doesn't happen. Guys or teams will take their rotation down to their top three guys, then, use their high leverage relievers in any situation. So it really comes down to scoring runs. And this is a team that obviously can do that. So if they continue to hit, their bullpen has been great as of late, and I think ultimately they're going to go as far as their starting pitching will let him go as well.
Mm-hmm.
So those things are very important. Starting pitching and then the ability to score runs in the playoffs when runs are at a premium almost every game.
What in your mind should be the level of concern, either a 10 or a 2, about the fact that Jose Berrios, since the All-Star break, has certainly struggled. The last outing in Boston did not go great. If you can't get him on track to be confident for him to start Game 1 of the playoffs, how much do you think that takes the Twins' chances down in that opening round series?
A lot. I mean, I look at Jose and I think he is an ace. He's put in the work to become what he's become. And yes, he hasn't pitched that well post All-Star break, but when it's on the line like that, I just think with his mentality, his makeup, that he's going to step up. I mean, he really has the stuff. I think for him, it's more about location. Being able to change the hitter's eye level, stop getting on that plane where it's just side to side and go more up and down with it. I think that's something that he needs to focus on in the next couple starts. But I'm a believer. I'm a big believer in Berrios. So I'm hoping that he turns it around. And, yeah, we do see him in the playoffs and showing what we know as Minnesota Twins fans, show that to the rest of the nation.
Awesome. Yeah, we're talking with former Twins infielder Trevor Plouffe, longtime third baseman with the club. And so, Trevor, I was on your Twitter. This is a while ago now, a couple of weeks ago, that you put out an idea that piqued my curiosity. You talked about realignment in Major League Baseball and maybe shaking up the divisions. I guess I have a 2-part question for you. 1, why do you want to do that? And 2, I want to give you a platform to pitch that to the world here.
All right. Honestly, that whole idea came about. I was watching the Dodgers-Yankee game with a couple of my buddies, and I couldn't remember the last time I saw the two teams play, and I thought that's a real tragedy because these are two storied franchises, both coming from New York, and now we just never get to see them play. So that's where the whole idea started. And then my friends and I started working out like what the best ways to be able to make the schedule where everyone plays everyone. And we really found that that's really not going to happen unless we add 2 teams. So we really need to get to 32 teams to be able to do that. So then we just kind of played around with it. And as a fan now, I sit back and watch the game, and I can understand why some people call the game boring, or why sometimes, or why this year particularly we're looking at attendance down. There's just a lot of things that I think that MLB could do better, and a restructuring or a realignment of the league, just something just would pique curiosity, get people back into the games. And I've been calling it for a long time that we need to have a universal DH. So I guess that's part of my motive as well.
Hear.
But the thing that we found that made the most sense was just combining, NL Central, AL Central, and NOS, AOS, and doing that whole thing. And we weren't able to completely balance the schedule, but it definitely was a more balanced offering of the schedule. Every team played every team, and then you played your teams in your division twice as many times as any other team. So there's a lot of things that will go into that, but I just feel like teams need to play as close to the same schedule as possible.
That was the thing that I liked the most about it. You said in your tweet, and people can go find that on your Twitter if they want to. It's just at Trevor Plouffe, where you mentioned, 3 divisions, universal DH, and that everyone's basically playing the teams in your division 8 times a year. Split those up, so 4 in each city. And every other team, you're only playing 4 times. Well, that makes sense. So there's still some divisional, there's weight to your division, but it's not like what the Twins have right now. And credit to them, they're taking advantage of what I would consider a light schedule. But when you get to go into a rebuilding KC, a rebuilding Detroit, and a rebuilding Chicago White Sox without a couple of their horses in the rotation, like that's a really lopsided schedule when you play those teams 19 times. So that's my favorite part about your realignment idea. It sort of balances some of that stuff out and doesn't favor you just because someone in your division gave up in February.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, then you have the disparity between interleague play. So, each division is playing. So say the Twins now, I honestly don't remember who they played in interleague this year, what division. But if they were to play a weak division there, then all of a sudden the schedule is even softer. So, I just really like the idea of each team playing each team every single year. People were chirping me about the travel and how much different that would be and how much more difficult it would be for the players. But the way I broke it down was we'd have 152 games instead of 162 games. So that's 10 extra off days that teams could use with their travel. And a lot of these teams are close when you really break it down. I mean, if you went into New York for 2 days, you would play the Yankees, then you'd play the Mets, and then you'd travel, somewhere to, Baltimore or somewhere close like that. So
Sure.
There's ways to do it. Do I think this is ever going to happen in the near future? I don't think it's going to happen unless we add 2 teams.
Sure.
In addition to
That's
some baseball thoughts like that you can find at Trevor Plouffe on Twitter. He's a fun follow because of the banter and trash talk between him and his former teammates. I saw a tweet of Trevor Plouffe's come across my timeline a few months ago. It was retweeted by somebody. I clicked on his profile. I was like, this guy played for the Twins. Maybe somebody I should follow. And the byline on his Twitter bio is family man, home brewer. I hit 2 homers off Phil Hughes, and that's one of them. And there's a figure pointing up at his banner photo of him actually hitting a home run off of Phil Hughes. And I was like, follow. I hit the follow button right away. This is somebody worth following. I've enjoyed it, Trevor, and I've enjoyed this conversation, man. We should do it again sometime.
Anytime, guys. Thanks for having me.
Love it. Thanks
a lot,
Trevor.
Trevor.